Welcome to Elkhart. I'm Mayor Rod Roberson. Elkhart is a vibrant city with a rich manufacturing tradition.
Few know better about that work ethic and history than Rod Roberson. He grew up in the northern Indiana city known as the RV capital of the world. 80% of the RVs you see rolling down the highway were made in the region. But that's not Elkhart's only claim to fame. Mayor Rod Roberson's hometown also toots its horn as the band instrument capital of the world and the birthplace of some of the most recognizable products on the planet.
Alka-Seltzer, plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is.
We are Flintstone kids, 10 million strong and growing.
Alka-Seltzer, Flintstones, and one-a-day vitamins, all born out of what was then Miles Laboratories in Elkhart. It's all familiar territory for Rod Roberson, a standout in football and basketball at Elkhart Central High School, a Big Ten athlete with a degree in economics from Northwestern, and now serving his first term as mayor of Elkhart. Rod Roberson, my guest this week on the Business and Beyond podcast. Thanks for joining us for episode 92 of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us for episode 92 of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm Gary Dick. Before Rod Roberson took over as mayor in 2019, he served 16 years on the city council and was there during President Obama's visit to Elkhart in 2009. At the height of the Great Recession.
The American people, they're resilient, they're proud, they're independent, but they are anxious right now because things don't feel like they're getting better for people. And I know they don't feel like that here in Elkhart.
Elkhart has rebounded from record unemployment back then. The RV industry has been on a roll since the pandemic. Mayor Roberson has a deep passion for his hometown, from serving in government to working in education and the nonprofit sector. And I am very pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by Elkhart Mayor Rod Roberson. And Mayor, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Gary. I really appreciate you asking me to come back.
Well, yeah, come back. We had you on the TV show just a few weeks ago, talking about a lot of things going on in Elkhart. Let me start because everyone knows of Elkhart, knows where Elkhart is, but maybe doesn't know a lot about Elkhart other than it's in the heart of RV country. What do people, what are some things, Mayor, that you think that people don't know about Elkhart?
I was talking to a guest that was in my office just this week, and I said a couple of things, and they were shocked to know this. And some of us that have a little age on us, I'm not talking about you, Gary, but some of us that would have a little age on us would know that Alka-Seltzer was originally invented right here in Elkhart. The founders of Elkhart, Havilah Beardsley, and the Beardsley family were pharmacists or doctors that worked in the area of pharmaceuticals. And Alka-Seltzer was actually invented here in Elkhart. And that long came Flintstones vitamins. We don't even see the Flintstones commercials anymore. But we one-a-days, Flintstones, chalks, all of that was actually manufactured right here in Elkhart. And that was a process that began in the 50s. And I graduated from high school in the late 70s. And the year I graduated, which was 1977, Elkhart was the richest city per capita in the United States for three reasons. And one of them was the pharmaceuticals, the Miles Laboratories, which made Alka-Seltzer and chalks and one-a-days, the RV industry, which we know about. And the other one is band instrument manufacturers, which was Selmers and Kahn. And Kahn was the world leader in manufacturing brass instruments And Selmer was the world leader in manufacturing woodwinds. And so if you played a flute, a clarinet, or a saxophone, which was my instrument of choice, you probably purchased it at Selmer. And probably 8 out of 10 in the United States came from right here in Elkhart. If you did French horns, trombones, and what would be flembones, brass, baritones, they would be made at Con. And so those two companies have since merged. They're still located right here in Elkhart. They've gone through some changes over the course of those years, but due to acquisitions, they still rank right along with Yamaha, which a lot of our instrument manufacturing has now gone offshore. They still are one or two based on their acquisitions. They own Ludwig, which is, if anybody played percussions and you go to a concert, you would see a Ludwig drum set on stage. And we here in Elkhart, Con Selmer, they own the subsidiary Ludwig. They also own Steinway, the piano manufacturer. And so Elkhart has a couple of things that probably are hidden gems that people may not know, but we are just wonderful. It's wonderful, the kind of manufacturing relationship that we've had over the course of decades that still holds today.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I can't go on without asking you. You said you played the sax. Do you still play the saxophone?
Well, I have and this is a podcast, you can't see it, but I'm pointing to my alto saxophone right here in my office.
Is it?
That I blew back in the 5th grade. And so I still have it.
Can you grab it? Can you grab it?
Sure. I can grab it. You want me to grab it?
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
But it is without a reed, purposefully, so that you can't hear how rusty I am in playing.
Shoot. I love it. I love it. Well, Mayor, you mentioned, band instruments, pharmaceuticals, RVs, the history, the heritage of Elkhart. It really is about innovation, inventing things and making things, probably as much as any city in the state of Indiana.
Absolutely. The Elkhart County and the city of Elkhart is the largest city in Elkhart County, even though our county seat is in Goshen. And I tease Mayor Stutzman about him being second fiddle to Elkhart, even though he's the county seat. And that's Jeremy Stutzman. He's great. We're all great friends up here in Northern Indiana as far as our municipalities and our mayors. But anyway, Elkhart has always been had a manufacturing relationship with the state, where we are the second highest manufacturing county in the state. And it is held true because of RVs, but it has perennially been that way over the course of decades. And that's very different than St. Joe County, which is more of a service-oriented county. And then you go into more rural counties going east with LaGrange County, and south with Kosciuszko County. And so Elkhart has kind of owned that north-central relationship to manufacturing, and it continues to do so.
You are Elkhart through and through, grew up there, obviously went to school there, great athlete, went on to play at Northwestern. Well, we'll talk about all of that in a minute, but I want to stay on this economy thing for the time being, because a lot of people remember back to I think it was 2009 when Barack Obama made a visit to Elkhart County. And the purpose was to, we were in the recession, times were tough, and it really put Elkhart in the spotlight in a way probably didn't want to be, in terms of having the highest unemployment rate in the United States. I think you were on the city council, I think, then, weren't you?
I was when he came, and it was a tough time for Elkhart. We were cycling around 20% unemployment. 1 out of 5 people that you knew were unemployed, and primarily because of the interest rate crutch. You can speak to multiple other factors at that time, the lifeline that was thrown to the automobile industry had ripple effects in Elkhart, and we begin to turn a corner and reduce our unemployment rates by 100% almost every month. We were, or 50% every month. We were really in a mode of trying to figure out where we were going until the automobile industry moved. And as you well know, if you don't know this, there are a lot of automotive parts that are also in RVs. And so with the automotive industry coming back, it brought Elkhart back as well. And we began to move towards a churn that, quite frankly, has been historical. Because since that recession, RVs have driven our economy in a way like history will probably record it in a different way. I mean, we were at a record 0.9% unemployment here about 2 quarters ago. And so Elkhart has had a wonderful run towards not just viability, but prosperity, even through the pandemic.
And that recovery, which has continued, I think it's a great kind of juxtaposition, if you will. You think back to the Obama visit, the highest unemployment rate in the country. Fast forward to today, and I know there's a lot going on from a quality of life, quality of place, downtown development standpoint, and you're getting national attention, because I know there was a piece in the Wall Street Journal which put Elkhart as the best city in the entire country for housing appreciation and lifestyle amenities and those types of things. So that's quite a change.
Yes, it is. Well, as you well know, I'm sure as you talk to many of your guests, economic development has changed over the course of the last 2-3 years. Actually, 5 years ago, we were still trying to go out and slay the biggest companies we could in order to move into the area. We figured out that bigger companies are now harder to get to relocate. So what we do as cities, smaller size cities, and even some of the largest size cities, we literally look at how amenitized we are to attract people to live here, because now people can live anywhere they want to in the country and work anywhere they want to in the country. So what occurs is that we want to attract people to the city. So quality of place, quality of life is so important to cities now, and building amenitized relationships to our city, making them sticky, I call it, making people come here, I shouldn't say, asking people to come for events, and then they find they have such a great time, they want to, well, what else is going on in Elkhart? Well, they can come back and shop, they can come back to another event, they have a great eating experience, dining experience, have a couple of nice beverages at a rooftop bar that we just opened. Those kind of things make people want to live in your space, and they realize that we're only a couple of hours from major metropolitan cities where they can go and do other things and maybe see other amenities that may not exist in a smaller city like this one. But the quality of place, quality of life have taken over that relationship. And that means that also the cost of living. So the cost of living here versus these other areas are also, it's very economical to live in Elkhart. You don't have to pay for a private school to live in Elkhart, and you have a good quality school system. So what we want to do is make sure that we continue to do that, and that's what we've kind of transitioned to in order to make sure that we are doing the right things inside the city, which is why when I list the assets in Elkhart, whenever I'm talking to anyone, listen to that list. Hotel Elkhart, a 100-year hotel that we've renovated due to the help of a collaborative relationship with the Elkhart County Foundation, and as well as the Potawatomi Tribe of Indians, who this was Potawatomi land back in the day, and it is a wonderful experience. And it also has a Hilton franchise relationship to it. The Aquatic Center, a $70 million facility. A $70 million aquatics facility right here in Elkhart, ran by Beacon Health Services, and it is an Olympic size pool, and we've had major swimming events where we've had 60 different teams, NCAA teams, 700 athletes, all on the deck at the same time. Ohio State, West Virginia, Florida, Georgetown, Cincinnati, I can name them off. And they all have come to Elkhart for the first time and swim in a pool that they say swims faster than Olympic training facility pools. So no expense was spared with the Aquatic Center. Our River District, which is a brand new area that we've really invested millions of dollars into, where we've put market rate apartments that are situated in a walking distance from dining and event areas right next to the Aquatic Center. And so we have 400 additional apartments that are in that area, and it has attracted a very new, a very young, more mobile crowd that goes there. Tolson Center for Excellence, which is a recreational facility that we just put $12 million into, and it's going up and will open in 2023. Wellfield Gardens, wonderful botanical garden that is absolutely amazing. And it is actually positioned around 60% of the city's water supply. Our aquifers are all underneath, and the Wellfield Gardens is above. The Lerner Theater, a 100-year-old facility that is a 1,700 seat facility that you have to see it, ornate, detailed, has a ballroom next to it, and we have major entertainment and acts there. So if you look at that list, it's around quality of place, quality of life. We're trying to attract people. We're trying to turn that corner, and I think we just have to continue to extend ourselves.
Yeah, a lot going on, no question about it. In Elkhart, with so many of those big time projects. You mentioned a moment ago collaboration. And you mentioned the fact you're a couple hours away from Chicago and the big city entertainment and all the things that offers, but you're very close, obviously, to South Bend and neighboring St. Joe County. Talk about collaboration.
I don't call them a big city, though.
No.
I'm joking. Mayor Mueller would be mad at me if I didn't call this city a big city. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There you go. Hey, well, what? Because the state, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, the governor, and others really continue to preach and to pound on collaboration and regions working together. Is there that spirit of collaboration there in northern Indiana?
Absolutely. We've taken a regional approach to Michiana, and some people didn't. When I was small, I didn't understand what Michiana meant. It literally means Southwest Michigan. It means and North Central Indiana. And our television reach, our ADI around that is that area. And what we've done is we have a South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership, which you and I participated with a dinner when Brad Chambers came up in order to speak to a roundtable there. And we work together in order to look at economic opportunities in order for us to regionalize our resources so that we don't lose. And the way that collaborative effort really works when we transform ourselves from hunting or competing with each other for that major corporation, we're now highlighting the best parts of our city. South Bend cannot be like Elkhart, so it has its unique strengths. Elkhart has its unique strengths. Even Mayor Wood, I'd like to put it, he's kind of the squeeze play over at Mishawaka between South Bend and Elkhart, and he has his unique strengths, and so does Goshen as well. So since we're all unique, we can literally focus ourselves around the quality of place, quality of life equation differently than each other, which is why we don't compete with each other. And the South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership helps us to see that and see a bigger picture. And then when we have an opportunity that's well suited for each of those entities, they could focus those resources towards it, or that attention or attraction towards it. So we kind of believe in each other. We don't compete with each other, but we literally work with each other in order to make sure that if a company comes to South Bend, they can always come over to Elkhart and enjoy something unique that South Bend doesn't provide.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of very positive developments going on in Elkhart. On the flip side, as mayor, you have to deal with so many issues and so many different things. What is there one thing, or maybe a couple of things that kind of keep you up at night as you think about it? Anything in particular from a challenging standpoint in this day and age?
You mean outside of my grandbabies when they come over?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right, but all right. I'm sorry, I got too personal. As a city, as a mayor, cities are challenged in ways in which we all know. We live in an environment today where the crime element is actually something that we all have to make sure we're paying attention to. I hate knowing Elkhart is a city of probably one step removed, someone you know. And so when someone passes or are a victim of a crime in one way, shape, or another, you know them. And so that always keeps me up. As well as we are growing in our downtown. We're growing in our economic prosperity, and with that comes some homelessness. And so some of that is also elements that keep me up at night. We want to make sure that Elkhart is the kind of city that leverages density against some of its challenges, so that people have an understanding that, yes, are some people going to be transitionally homeless? Yes. So we got to make sure. So we will never solve those issues. You never take crime down to zero. You never take homelessness down to zero. But what you do is you try to make sure that you're still attracting good people to the area, so that it actually outweighs those other elements, and we continue to make people as safe as possible, and hopefully those that are transitionally homeless, they can find shelter. And our homeless services are above reproach. So we continue to serve our community at a level that I believe is second to none.
Yeah, I got to ask you about education as well, because as you look at the region, certainly Notre Dame stands out as a world-class research institution right there in your backyard. But I think there are, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, I think 8 or 9 colleges and universities there in the region that call the region home. So there, you've got a lot of great higher education institutions.
Absolutely. And I, if I started to go down the list, I probably would leave a couple of them out. But let me start with IUSB, which is Indiana University South Bend. They also have a regional campus here in Elkhart. Bethel University, Goshen College, as well, Ivy Tech. And obviously Notre Dame kind of heads up the larger university that have excellent reputations, that literally do outreach in our areas, and we connect with them as well on a regional basis. So we all really do work together from an academic and a philanthropic standpoint, in order for those universities academically to be able to help make sure that we are digging into some of the areas of opportunity that a city has, that a city shouldn't be spending tax dollars on. We should be spending tax dollars on services to our residents, and obviously making our infrastructure as sound as possible. But there are areas in which we can work together to ensure that everyone is getting served.
Rod Roberson was educated in Elkhart, certainly grew up there, and went on to Northwestern, and a lot of great sports stories as well, I'm sure, as we'll get into all that when we return on the Business and Beyond podcast. Stay with us.
This is Alex Brown. Get caught up on the state's top business news every business day with Inside Indiana Business Radio on demand. This twice-daily podcast features our statewide Inside Indiana Business Radio reports with additional bonus content that you can listen to anytime, anywhere. You can listen now on the podcast page at InsideIndianaBusiness.com, or subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week, a very busy guy, Elkhart Mayor Rod Roberson, first-term mayor in the city of Elkhart, and really shepherding a number of big economic development projects in the downtown and in his city. And Mayor, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would sense that being mayor is very personal to you because you grew up there, and you're certainly a native. A well-known resident, a well-known family. What was growing up in Elkhart like?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, being mayor of your hometown is personal. You know the corners to turn. You turned them when you were young. I went to elementary, middle school, and high school here. I had multiple different family members, both extended and direct, that are immediate. That also matriculated through high school and either working around here or left and came back and those kind of things. So it becomes extremely personal. And growing up here to me was wonderful. I was, and maybe even I had a blind eye to some of the challenges that I spoke of a little bit earlier, because I wasn't in need of services. My family, my older brother was probably one of the greatest athletes ever to come out of Elkhart. His name is Rod Roberson, and he was an Indiana All-Star, both in football and basketball. He was a baseball player with the University of Illinois. Was all Big Ten in football, and people thought I was Garvin's little brother. So I didn't even have a name. My name wasn't Rod. It was Garvin's little brother. Matter of fact, so much so, I was just bent on making sure that I made somebody know who Rod is. And so it didn't, and it never happened while I was at Elkhart. I mean, I could tell you stories that just deflated my chest at times when someone challenged me and actually said, "You will never be as good as your brother." And I thought, really? I'm not trying to be, but I guess in your mind, so anyway, I went through some scars of being Garvin's little brother, but I wasn't, I was always very proud of what he had accomplished. And so when it was time for me to go to school, and I chose Northwestern, which was in the Big Ten as well, I actually was a football, basketball scholarship guy. And I thought Garvin played football at Illinois. He was actually football, basketball as well, and he played basketball freshman year, and that was when freshmen were not allowed to play in the Big Ten, and I guess weren't allowed to play in the country. So they had freshmen, and then they had, obviously when you were a sophomore through senior. And so he was all Big Ten as a freshman in basketball, all Big Ten as a freshman in football, and then he went on to play football after that. And so I said, okay, I went as a football basketball guy to Northwestern, and I'm trying to think of the AD that there was a football coach from IU. Jeez, cannot think. He was the AD at Northwestern. But anyway, he's the one that started recruiting me, and I ended up signing a football letter of intent and a basketball letter of intent. And I played. First year, I wanted to play basketball because I loved basketball, and I didn't play football. Well, Northwestern during the years I was there did not win a ball game.
Right? Yeah, that was tough. Yeah.
And so I went out for spring football, and I saw the reasons why. And I thought, and I made it to #1 in the depth chart as a wide receiver. And I remember walking in and telling Coach Rick Venturi, he used to be the coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
He was the Colts, and he's a analyst now in the broadcast. Yeah.
Is he? Oh,
yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, on radio. Yeah.
Nicest guy. And I told him, I said, Coach, I don't think I want to play football any longer. I think I want to concentrate in basketball. And it was actually opposite of what my brother did. So I was still looking, somehow innately, I was trying to make a name for myself that was different than Garvin. And so I ended up playing 3 more years of basketball. I played all 104 games that we had in the 4 years. I started 103 of those 104. Played against Notre Dame twice, and that was during the Tracy Jackson,
Yeah.
Kelly Tripucka, Bill Lambier,
Oh, yeah.
Orlando Woolridge days. And if you remember, I don't know, I can't date you, Gary, but I can say that the Big Ten had the strongest. I think I played in the very best league in the country for basketball. I mean, we obviously Indiana was coming off of a no win. They were undefeated season in '76. We came in '79. Michigan State wins with Magic Johnson.
Title,
way,
Mm-hmm.
Magic and I, as well as Mike McGee and Wes Matthews and Herb Williams, we were all freshmen, all Big Ten. And then Michigan State wins it in '79, and with Isaiah Thomas, Indiana wins it in '81. And so so I played during a time in which the Big Ten was absolutely was tough. Yeah. So I really relished the fact that I thought I had made a name for myself, but I still graduated with an economics degree in those 4 years that I played. I didn't have to go an extra year. And I always say that the Elkhart Community Schools prepared me for the rigors of a school like Northwestern, like no other. And then I go overseas, play a couple of years in the Philippines and Sweden after getting drafted by the New Jersey Nets and not making the team. Many stories there, but I work in consumer products for 20 years, and with Coca-Cola namely, and I come back home and run for council, and now I'm mayor, and I tease folk now and say that now Garvin has to say my brother is the mayor.
That's right. See, you did it. You absolutely did it.
It took me 40 years.
I love it. Well, you know, I actually saw a piece that the Big Ten Network did on you and your brother. There are a couple of, so your family has such a rich, well, there's an education piece we'll talk about in a minute, but athletics and in the Big Ten, right?
Well, it was interesting. You know, as it stands, I had an uncle, my mother's youngest brother, who Coley Webb Jr. played at Nebraska, and now Nebraska's in the Big Ten.
Yep.
He played 4 years there, and he graduated from Elkhart High School in '62. And then my older brother played for University of Illinois in '70. I played in '70. I graduated in '77, went to Northwestern, and Garvin's son, Damon Bethea, went to Michigan State. And he was, I think, 92. And so Damon, who is a wonderful young man, he's in Kansas City now, but he actually orchestrated for Garvin, myself, and himself to sit down and do an interview for the Big Ten Network. And to talk about how we all played at Northside Gym, which is an historic floor here in Elkhart, and came out of this one city playing in all the playgrounds. And we had 3 generations who played in the Big Ten as a family.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I should note, great athletic heritage, but I think your mom and grandmother were educators. Were teachers, yes. Right? So it was the perfect mix there. You've got the great athletic and education focus there. That probably set you on a pretty good path.
Well, I knew across the table, if I couldn't conjugate a verb, that I make it a quick backhand. And so I learned that. Maybe I shouldn't say that. They may call it child abuse these days. But believe me, I didn't. What it did do was make sure that I conjugated that verb correctly the next time. But it was a relationship, not just with education. It was a relationship with leadership, with understanding the discipline on how to lose with character, so that you understand what and be humble when you won. And so it's a balance, and athletics and academics, I think, is a great balance for kids. And I think one without the other is something that you leave on the table. And so I really believe that the resiliency that those two, if you are handling the rigors in the classroom and you are disciplined enough to handle the relationship that you would have in sport, being a mayor, because I am the closest governmental body to citizens and residents in our structure in the United States for legislative, executive, birth, or political relationships. So it makes me more service oriented because it's a one-on-one with people. People know their mayor and they want to have their mayor included in funerals and weddings. And so the president doesn't get invited to everybody's wedding. The state senators they're not the ones that come to the funeral unless it's a political funeral.
Yeah.
But the mayor is always someone that is close to people, and that resonates with the way I was raised in a way that I believe created a fit for me in this position.
Yeah, and I sense that sense of community service and service in general is something that was very important as well growing up.
Oh, very. It's interesting. You see people that are in need. There's so many times that I played in ball games, and there were people that had physical disabilities that would come to the game, and you would be running, jumping, dunking, passing. I didn't dunk that often. I just thought I'd throw it. They actually outlawed dunking back in the day.
I do. I remember
and it was
that.
during my time growing up, and I think they allowed people to dunk my senior year. But at any rate, running, jumping, and playing, and then you would see someone that didn't have the use of their legs or didn't have an arm, and you realized that how fortunate you were to be able to do those things. So it created a sense of compassion, empathy that I believe helps to also create a kind of character piece in you. And when I started to work with poverty here in Elkhart, I was the executive director of Church Community Services, which is one of our leading providers of food distribution to pantries and other places here in Elkhart. I began to understand the empathy that was necessary to deal with poverty in a way that I had never seen. And it actually prepared me for my role as mayor like no other opportunity that I had. Intrinsically, I now know the profession of consumer products. Intrinsically, I know the relationship to the executive and legislative branch of governments because of my experience as a council person. But you have to serve in order to understand how service helps people in a way like no other. So I literally, I coined my campaign after what I called unparalleled service. And that was my tagline. I want to deliver unparalleled service because I don't want to be political. I want to serve people, and it has to be public service. And I want to build a standard that communicates a level of service like you've never felt it before. So it challenges me every day to deliver to that standard.
Yeah. Mayor, what's, I know you're busy with the day-to-day things that take all of your time, but as you think about maybe what's next for Elkhart, for you, you'll be up for re-election? You're going to run again, I assume.
You're looking for a scoop?
Yeah, exactly.
Game here, the big Elkhart scoop.
That's exactly right. What do you think?
Well, I feel as though I lost 2 years, maybe 2.5 years to COVID. And when you have goals coming in and you lose that time because you have to be focused on something that you never ever thought would ever be a part of your day to day, you don't get a chance to really plant the seeds that you really would like. And so I believe that there's still work yet to do. And I would love to be able to continue to do those things. And in addition to that, there's so many opportunities that are flourishing here in Elkhart that you really would like to see how they mature. And as long as I've said before, someone asked me, how long are you going to be mayor? And I'm thinking, I wonder if that's an enemy, or is that somebody who doesn't want me to be mayor, or that's somebody. I like to say until I'm released. And that release And so if I'm released, then obviously there's opportunities to do other things. If I'm not, I'm more than happy and willing to serve.
Mayor Rod Roberson, it's been a real treat to have you on the podcast this week. You're a homegrown Hoosier success story, no question about it, and certainly an Elkhart success story. And I think beyond any doubt, you have made a name for yourself with your big brother there. So I think you did that very well. So really appreciate the time.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him, please.
All right. Elkhart Mayor Rod Roberson, been a real treat to have him on the podcast this week, and great to have you join us on the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. It is a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can download all of our episodes and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.